That brings us to the last bit of the show. It is the Final Word IPL weekly wrap, because we don't watch enough of it to do this more than once a week, but we did see enough of it to do this once a week. Here we are. This week, Adam, was the comebacks week. It was the start of school term, but everybody was back. It was Rishabh Pant being back. It was Virat Kohli being back from the birth of his second child. It was Dinesh Karthik coming back from the commentary box. Mitchell Starc coming back from many, many years of self-imposed absence from the IPL. Let's start with Rishabh, because we're big Punt fans. Up, down, wherever they are, we like them. Look, he only made 18 and they lost, and Sam Curran and Liam Livingstone sort of did an England job for Punjab over Delhi, where at Delhi, interesting kind of strong Australian slant. Warner and Marsh are opening the batting. It's quite a fun team. Ishant Sharma bowling, Kuldeep Yadav bowling. But more than all of that, Rishabh Pant batting, captaining and wicket-keeping. This was kind of the surprise. I wasn't sure that he was going to be able to keep, given the injuries from his car crash. And he looked okay. I mean, obviously doing a 20-over game is a very different thing to sort of keeping for 2 days during a test match, but he moved all right. He seemed to be getting up and down okay out of the squats. The stumping was the most exciting bit, because that was fast reflexes down the leg side. He's off balance. He has really quick hands to get the bails off. He took a reasonable catch running around off the top edge as well later. Do we dare to dream that Rishabh could be the same force that he has been if he makes it back to the Indian side?
I think that it's going to come down to his keeping. It's going to come down to whether, because he's going to be a different player, right? Like, it's impossible to go through a life-changing event like that and be the same cricketer. I think that it's going to depend on him. I suppose they've got some cover now. We've had Jurel come in and keep so well for the Indian national side against England. But if Punt can make himself a real force with the gloves again, that will fast-track his return, I think, to international cricket. So, but yeah, thrilled to see him back in the IPL in the first instance. And there was a time there, wasn't there, Jeff, that it was no sure thing. I remember when we were in India this time last year talking to some of our commentary colleagues, and the prognosis wasn't great at all about what he might be able to do for the rest of his life. So we've all seen the training videos. We've all seen the social media that he's been putting up along the way, and the incredibly positive attitude he's retained all the way through that. Out the other side of it, playing cricket again within a couple of years, it's a special moment for anyone who's watched this prodigiously talented guy get about over the last 10 years or so.
Virat Kohli back in the runs. It's been kind of extraordinary that, he missed that whole India series. He's been basically 2 full months out of the spotlight, which seems even more significant for someone who we're used to being the centre of attention all of the time. There is no bigger player in world cricket at the moment. I thought it was interesting that he mostly got left alone. Like, everybody knew that he was absent because he had a baby coming, and sort of guessed that there were some complications around that, but there was a lot less reporting on it than I expected there might be. Largely it seemed like his family was left in peace, which was heartening, I suppose. This was the game that Royal Challengers Bangalore were playing against Punjab. Johnny Bairstow didn't make any opening, and also dropped Kohli at slip very early on, one that went over his head to the boundary. Glenn Maxwell picked up a couple of wickets, including Shikhar Dhawan, who was well set. Punjab set 177, and Kohli, so he nicks that one that goes for 4. Then he hits 3 more boundaries in the current over, and then he takes down Kagiso Rabada. Coming down the pitch a lot, he was hitting over cover a lot. Like, it was very aggressive, and we're used to seeing Kohli often ticking along at a slower rate in T20s. This was, the 50 came up off 31 balls, I think. It was a lot more deliberately aggressive than some of the T20 batting that we've seen. And he just looked clean. He looked absolutely mint. Like, the break seems to have done him some good. I was very amused at the stat they were putting up about the fact that he'd hit 654s in the IPL. Who cares? Like, talk if 150 doesn't mean anything, 650. Just wait for 700. 700 will be along any minute now. Like, let's just do even hundreds from here on. 650 come off it, but He did make his 100th score above 50 in T20 cricket, which is pretty extraordinary. 8 centuries and 92 half centuries as he got to 77. It was a big run chase. They needed 177 to win. He got him pretty close, and it still needed some finishing. So Mahipal Lomro, who's an interesting entry, who's a fairly low-profile player, made 17 off 8 at the end. And Dinesh Karthik, 28 off 10. And this was kind of another comeback because DK had a poor season last year, couldn't get any, and he's going to be 39 in a couple of months. You sort of had that feeling that maybe last year was his last season, and he'd gone one too many. In the end, he looked immaculate. The way he finished the game off, 28 off 10. He was hooking them over fine leg. He was playing his lap shots. He was drilling them down the ground, and he looked terrific. After you might have expected that he'd transitioned his career to commentary from here on.
I think there was a general view out there that he was done, but to make a contribution in both games and that terrific chase that the RCB had yesterday about, it's, I guess, demonstrative of the fact that the IPL does still, if you've got that eye, if you've got that ability, not just the IPL, but T20 cricket more generally. Andre Russell showed up playing in a T20 against Australia a couple of months ago down in Hobart, Jeff, and I'm like, I thought he was well and truly done, but
yep,
it's the fast twitch fibers and other things that we say we don't quite understand, which give extra longevity to players who, if they were asked to play a 4-day game or a 5-day game, would probably struggle with that at this age. But 20 overs, if you've got it, if you've got the eye still in good nick, then you can still do it. And so it proves for DK.
Well, Andre Russell, will come to him in a moment. So Punjab won all after they won the first one against Delhi and lost the one to Bangalore. Bangalore won all because they lost their first game to Chennai, where Maxi made a golden duck. Not the way to start the season. Also, fairly funny, MS Dhoni, just before the Chennai game, retires as captain of CSK, like a day before the tournament starts. He still plays. He's going to play this season. He's just not captaining. So he takes a couple of catches, a run out, not required to bat. But my God, this was so MS Dhoni. You remember his very enigmatic retirement in Australia halfway through a test series as test captain. Remember how close-lipped he is about everything. It's like he just really enjoys not telling anyone what's happening. He's the most emotionally unavailable cricket captain I can think of. You talk about insecure attachment styles and being an avoidant personality or whatever it is. He just spends all year going, oh, no, not sure. Yeah, no, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. And then a day before the season decides that's it. I can't decide if it's just amusing or annoying. So Ruturaj Gaikwad's been made captain, but with no time to settle into it. Normally, your new captain, you'd have the run up to the season, you'd do your press events, it'd be like, it's your team now, what are you going to do with it, what's your style? No, just the day before the game, you've got the armband champion, enjoy.
He'd be a terrible person to be in a relationship with. He's that classic kind of treat him mean, keep him keen kind of character. He's not who you want as your high school girlfriend, MS Dhoni.
So anyway, look, they're the very New Zealandish team at the moment. CSK, they've got Rachin Ravindra and Daryl Mitchell playing for them. Rachin started pretty nicely, hit a few sixes, 37 off 15. Kolkata Knight Riders. Mitchell Starc made history as the most expensive signing in the history of the comp, and then didn't quite make history as the most expensive spell, but not that far off. 53 off 4 overs, mostly thanks to Heinrich Klaasen, who did most of the scoring in an over that went for 26. They hit 4 sixes in that over with Shahbaz Ahmed helping out. And this is after Andre Russell in the first innings had gone absolutely nuts to set Hyderabad 209. So Russell playing for Kolkata sets him 209. He makes 64 from 25 balls. Klaasen makes 63 from 29, chasing, nearly gets there. They need 6 from 4 balls. And Harshit Rana is the unenviable task of bowling that last over. Gets both set batters out when they needed 6 from 4 to win, after having just been flying along the previous few overs. Pat Cummins has to come in to face the last ball of the game, needing 5 to win. So he has to hit a 6 first ball, his first ball, last ball of the innings, to win the game and can't do it miraculously. Swings and misses because finally there was a chase that he couldn't ice. KKR win by 4. But yeah, Russell back in at class and still being one of the best there is in the middle order, and Starc having a very forgettable outing in his first game at $4 million plus for the season.
Yeah, you made the point there, but if I was putting the bat in the hand of one person to nail a 6 from one ball at the moment, it probably would be Pat Cummins. Not because he's the best player in the world, but he's just got an immense ability to absorb pressure and deliver. And he's done it before in the IPL. He hit that 13-ball 50, wasn't it, a few years ago, which was backs against the wall stuff. And we've seen those last ball 6s in the IPL fairly routinely. I remember one night with Mitchell Starc pulling it off as the CSK from memory, and Ravindra has done it a number of times, but not to be for Cummins. But I wouldn't say it's jarring that we're seeing these Australian Test cricketers playing in the IPL. We're conditioned to it, but it does feel a million miles away from where we left them in Christchurch a fortnight ago.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's so recent, isn't it? And to us, we're like, okay, that part of the season's over, time to have a bit of a rest. And for them, they're into the cauldron, in the middle of like the most watched cricket happening in the world, basically the most intense thing, probably outside of the World Cup final that they played last year.
Yeah, there's only one thing more intense than playing in the IPL cauldron. It's playing in the IPL cauldron, coached by Justin Langer, who has started in his luck. Although I did see his promotional video that he put up on social media last week. I think they were playing a Pracky match, Lucknow, and Langer had the hat on backwards and was encouraging everyone to get down and get funky and all the rest of it. But it didn't start the way they wanted when the real stuff began.
No, he was very happy for KL Rahul to be back. Our captain's in the house. Well, KL Rahul did make runs, but made a 50, but wasn't enough to get past Sanju Samson, who continues to impress. Made 80 plus in quick time for Rajasthan. And Lucknow start with a loss, and the Gujarat Titans beat Mumbai despite Jasprit Bumrah pulling out 3 for 14 from 4 overs. Pretty extraordinary in a high scoring game there as well. So that's it. Most teams have played 1, a couple have played 2.
Has Bumrah ever not done that?
Yeah.
It feels like Bumrah, every T20 game he plays, he finishes with 3 for 14 from 4, right?
Just about. He did go. There was that one-day warm-up match for the World Cup where Mitchell Marsh and co took 50 off his first 5 overs, and it was absurd. It was like, I don't know, tuning into the moon landing and seeing like Mark Cosgrove up there or something. It was like, hang on, this doesn't compute. This isn't supposed to happen. This is not what I was expecting.
I'm just trying to think what Mark Cosgrove's first words upon touching the moon would have been. I doubt it would have been as one small step for man, etc., etc.
Fucking grouse.
Final word, listeners. What would have Mark Cosgrove's first words have been upon being the first man to set foot on the moon? Maybe not a bad place to leave the podcast this week.
Yeah, why not?
To leave the season. Look, this has been the final word. It has been season 15. Just want to say on the way out of this that we're very grateful that we get to make as many episodes of this podcast as we do. 32 in season 15, but that doesn't count. How many daily shows? Was there 50 odd? Something ridiculous
more
like
than
that.
that.
It's at least 50. It's probably like 60 or 70 daily shows. And when you fold in the 99 episodes that are all turned around and the archive eps and the book club eps, which we don't count in that. Speaking of book club, that's returning.
Adam, the World Cup was in this season. Just before you get onto that, yeah. So the World Cup had nearly 50 daily shows in it, in and of itself, plus the home summer, plus the New Zealand trip. We're probably at 100.
So home summer, we might let's do it. Yeah, I was going to say, we might as well work it out and be self-indulgent at the end. If you're still listening, you'll allow us this indulgence. So there would have been, 50-odd World Cup shows. There were test matches between Australia's men and women. They played, 6 in the home summer, I think, from memory. So, you throw in a few previous shows, 40-odd there. New Zealand, a couple more test matches. Yeah,
England, India.
It's over 100 comfortably. England, India, Christ, maybe even close to 150, maybe closer to 150 than it is 100. Someone will work that out. We're nearing 1,000 episodes ever in the history of the show, which I find it hard to believe, but we'll recognise that at the right time. But still, the wider point I was going to make is that to make 100 plus, let's say, daily shows and all of these programs, all the story time research, all of the stuff behind the scenes to turn around stuff like 99 and book clubs and so on and so forth doesn't happen without our incredibly loyal bank of patrons, and we do thank you